Monona Police Department credits the decline in pursuits to the community's compliance during traffic stops.
The city's chief gathered data from 2024 and the first 6 months of this year, breaking down details of those pursuits.
WMTV's Cameron Kelly joins us in studio. And Cameron, the chief says pursuits have gone down significantly.
That's right. In 2024, there were 51 pursuits, and as of this year, there are only 19 so far. Both years include pursuits assisting outside agencies. Chief Brian Cheney says some of these pursuits resulted in arresting repeated offenders and recovering firearms off of the streets.
From 51 last year and 19 thus far this year, a significant decrease in the amount of pursuits that we've been engaged in.
6 months into 2025, the Monona Police Department reports a decrease in police pursuits since 2024.
Folks who we have no doubt may have, by their own admission, would have continued to flee, but they got word and they sought and they understood our encouragement to please stop for the police, so they've stopped.
Chief Brian Cheney says there are parameters in which officers have to take in consideration when pursuing.
Such as the weather, what are the road conditions, is school being let out soon, what are the traffic conditions.
The data also shows more than 20% of pursuits involve recovering firearms.
The amount of guns we've taken off the streets, with the amount of violent repeat offenders who were just involved in shootings or was suspected of being involved in shootings or may be on their way to do a shooting. We've taken those individuals off the streets.
Chief Cheney explains that officers try to be understanding and keep the community safe.
Say they didn't have a driver's license and literally offering a ride and providing a ride to persons. We understand that there are fears in this community, and we understand that certain persons on certain segments of the community have genuine fear. We get that.
The current pursuit policy allows officers to pursue a driver if they do not stop when police tell them to. Chief Cheney says he wants to continue to be transparent with the community. Live in the studio, Cameron Kelly, WMTV 15 News.
Cameron, thank you. Monona Police use both body cameras and squad car cameras, which help with maintaining that pursuit data. A reminder, last year, a car pursuit involving Monona PD turned deadly. 3 people died on New Year's Day, 2 30-year-olds and a 19-year-old. It happened near County Highway AB and Femright Drive in the town of Cottage Grove. This is video of that pursuit. Now, after this crash, the police department temporarily changed its pursuit policy. The policy was then put back into place 2 weeks after the crash.